Hello, everybody. How is it going? And it's Errol here with another episode of Errol's Emissions. I don't have AC, so that's why I sweat sometimes on these videos. It's very, very hot here in Jamaica. It's probably like 60 degrees, 70 degrees, or something like that. Maybe not so much, but it's crazy. Even when the fan's on, it's still hot over here. And I have a light shining over my head for being lit, So in this video I'm gonna be talking about the symbolism of colors and how you use them to represent your brand and the psychology behind that. So when it comes to using colors in your brand, you're gonna be people are gonna be looking at two main things, or this is what they should be looking at. First, your identity and your perception. So your identity, I'm looking at something here that I came up with. Your identity will basically be based around the fact if you're either old school or new school. So if you're old school, if you're a business owner, you're probably more than likely going to be one of those business owners that didn't know about the psychology of colors in branding. Maybe you didn't take it that seriously. Maybe you chose your brand colors off whim or what you liked without even realizing that the colors that you like are closely tied to your personality. So I usually am a fan of the color red, and I always used to say to myself that red represents that positive aggression, that drive that I always have. And when I just started doing this, I didn't even know that that's what red actually symbolizes in branding. I had no idea up until about a year ago. So that's just an example. So your identity with colors is going to be closely tied to your personality, as I alluded to just now. So if you are a sort of person where you are aggressive, whether positively or negatively, then more than likely red's gonna be your color. If people usually see you as trustworthy and so on, that might tie in back to your personality. So for example, blue is a trust color, symbolizes loyalty, that sort of thing. So first thing, your identity, and also the second thing is your perception. So how do people perceive you? Do they perceive you as either serious or playful, or loud or subdued? So there can either be one extreme to the other, or opposites basically. So people will either see you as one thing or the other thing, if you understand what I'm saying. So perception, so branding is how you are identified with and how you're perceived. Right? So first identity, two perception, and your perception has a lot to do with your tone, and this also ties back into your personality as well. So for example, in my case, I'm usually more the serious type, although sometimes you see me smiling and laughing in videos. That's not how I usually am. Sometimes people used to say to me that they couldn't read my face because I usually had this straight face, serious personality. A lot of people wouldn't know that about me in terms of me used to being like that. Even up to a year ago, I don't know what happened. First, I went through some form of charisma awakening. I started developing myself more. I'm not 100% there as yet because nothing is perfect, but I managed to develop myself to the point where I can smile again, and that level of personality, that radiance and that vibration is there, right? Vibrating that energy. So that's what red stands for me. So people will usually usually look at your brand in terms of its identity and how they perceive it. So those are the two things. So it in terms of your brand message, your colors will determine how well you are accepted or how you are ignored. So if you are marketing, if you are accepted by people on your, I wouldn't want to say people on your friends list only, that's kind of limiting it, but people, if you're accepted by your prospects, your ideal clients as trustworthy, as credible, etc., then it means that your message is getting to the right audience. But if you're usually being ignored, not accepted, or there's some form of indifference toward you by the majority of people that you come across, then it means that your message more than likely isn't reaching the right people. That's usually the issue. Sometimes it doesn't have to do with you per se. Sometimes it just has to do with your message and how it is being received, whether it's being received by the right people or the wrong people. Right? So usually your brand can either be seen in two ways when it comes to your message. You can either be seen as playful and likable, or serious and cool. So most people I come across, they tend to view me as, I would probably say there's a balance, but if there's any that I believe people would lean toward in terms of their perception of my message, they might see it as serious and cool. And the reason for that is because I prefer to let people qualify themselves to me in terms of if they're a good fit or not, so that my message is actually taken more seriously. So that's basically how I look at it. So as I was mentioning, colors are usually tied to your personality, tying back to your message. So if you have a superhero complex, for example, you might choose colors such as blue or red. So as I was saying, red symbolizes strength. Red symbolizes excitement, energy, passion, aggression, and power, as well as strength. That's what red symbolizes. Blue now would more symbolize loyalty, confidence, peace, integrity, order, and trust. So those are traits commonly associated with superheroes. No, I'm not saying that you should go ahead and try to be the superhero saving the world. And I'm not gonna tell anyone that, oh, I'm a superhero, or oh, you're a superhero. That's usually something that's validated by the people. So if someone sees you doing something and they bestow a certain trait or persona on you, then if more than one person does it, then usually tends to be true. Not in all cases, but usually tends to be true. But you don't hear superheroes commonly referring to themselves as superheroes, if you understand what I'm saying, because usually they'll come across as maybe arrogant, too confident, too sure of themselves, and maybe even pretentious, right? So that's something that you have to look into those things if you're gonna say you're something, and if you want people to believe it. So you have to let your actions speak for itself. That's basically what I'm saying. So in my case, I think that if saving the world is gonna be too much for me to carry, so I would prefer to do it like royalty and leave it in the family, because sometimes you take up things that you can't manage and it ends up backfiring on you. That happens to a lot of people. Doesn't matter who they are, right? So that's definitely my take on it. But if the people want me to rise to the occasion to do anything, once it's legal and ethical, then I will do it. So one of the common misconceptions about colors in branding is that for example, your website or your logo, it has to be fancy, full of colors, full of bright colors, dark colors, whatever colors there is. And in the case of a website, that's definitely not the case. Ugly but simple converts better. So your website can be ugly in the sense of not being seen as traditionally beautiful, but based on industry standards, it's acceptable depending on the industry that you're in. So your website is gonna have an appearance which would more match the tone of the industry that you're in and the level of professionalism that you're trying to communicate within the standards of that industry. But in general, ugly converts better. Plain white background, maybe maybe two or three brand colors in terms of fonts. You can use gray for your body text, that sort of thing. That's really what converts. And if you're in e-commerce, a really good example to look at is the Dr. Axe website. Look at its structure and how you look at how the owners of the website structure the contents and the layouts on each page, especially the home page, and you'll get an understanding of what I'm actually talking about. It converts like crazy. I don't do e-com. I don't own an e-com store, but it converts. I know that website converts like crazy, and I can see why, based on my experience in the internet industry and having an idea of how marketing and colors work. Right, so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I'm gonna hop into doing something else. I'm actually creating a funnel, another funnel for myself, and I'm gonna be launching it as soon as possible. Because I have to practice what I preach in terms of telling people about predictable revenue and getting customers coming to them. I already have funnels, but I'm building another one. So that's it for now. I hope you digested the information and found it useful. If you didn't find it useful, maybe this video wasn't for you. Maybe it wasn't for you. So, but feel free to like, share, comment, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.